Welcome to the American Heart Association's National Fall Heart Walk Company Leader Summit. I'm Kevin Harker, your host today, and I'm going to be joining you from my home base in Kansas City. And I could not be more grateful for your incredible support of the American Heart Association and that you're joining our program today. As we get started, I've told you where I'm from. I'd love for you to drop in the chat what city you're joining us from. So I know that we've got people from coast to coast. Hello, California. It's great to have you with us. There's Missouri, right next to Kansas. Hey, in Florida, it's great to have you in the house. Thank you for joining us all today. You are all in for a great session to learn a little bit more about your important volunteer role. You know, the role of a company leader. It's a vital role to the Heart Walk. You know, the donations that you raise will allow us to truly save lives and to change lives in so many different ways. And we're going to be, helping people to learn to monitor and treat their blood pressure. Maybe start an exercise program or learn about the importance of quitting smoking or vaping, or not even starting vaping and smoking if they're in high school and middle school. We'll also help communities provide access to healthy foods, maybe learn CPR, and of course, funding critical research that saves lives. So during today's program, you're going to be hearing from your volunteer peers, other company leaders who are also leading their campaign efforts in their companies in Chicago and Atlanta. These folks are amazing volunteers who are going to provide you with tips for success, how to maximize your volunteer time, and how to make it fun. And a fun event to engage the employees in your company. We'll also hear from a very inspiring family who benefit from the work that you do to save lives. I know you'll be inspired when you meet him and his mom and hear his very powerful story. And you're going to be the first to see our 2023 campaign theme as we unveil it here today. You know what? Why don't we just do that right now? So the 2023 campaign theme for the Heart Walk is I walk to save lives. I walk to save lives. This is a campaign that gives each participant a way to express, share, and be inspired by the reasons why they walk. As you can see from this list, there are so many reasons why. So, are you ready for 2023? I know I am. So let's start with a sneak preview of some survivors modeling our new 2023 Heart Walk rewards. Wow, that gear looks great. And thank you to our models for showing it off. You all look great. So let's get started with our program today. And first up, we're going to hear from our friend at ADP, who's been supporting the Heart Walk and leading their efforts for 4 years now. So joining us is Division Vice President of ADP, Adam Bush, who will share how their team has raised over $150,000 this year for the American Heart Association. Adam, thanks so much for being here and for your dedicated leadership. And hey, congratulations on raising over $150,000. You and ADP did such a tremendous job with the Heart Walk this year. First, Adam, I wonder if you could share with us why ADP is all in for the AHA and why you personally lead your company support as the company leader.
All right, so great question, Kevin, and thank you for that. When I look at the way we approach this here at ADP, it comes down to the fact that heart disease and stroke touch each and every single one of us. It touches us, it touches our families, our friends, and our colleagues everywhere. So that makes it a very, very easy cause for us to get behind here at ADP. And the second thing is we're very intentional about creating a culture supporting our employees and keeping them as healthy and active as possible. And anything that helps them and their families move more, we get behind immediately. And really third, it's personal for me, Kevin. I lost my father to heart disease 11 years ago. My mother recently had a stroke. So both of those factors combined make it a very, very personal journey for me with the American Heart Association, and really ensures that I'm fully behind you guys every step, along with the rest of the ADP team.
Adam, thank you for sharing that, and we are so sorry to hear about that. Please know that our hearts are with you as well. You know, as you mentioned too, so many families are impacted by heart disease, which makes our mission even more important. And Adam, I'm going to transition back to the Heart Walk for just a second, though. You know, and you recruited 30 coaches this year, and over 350 employees came out to the Heart Walk. That's huge. That doesn't happen by accident. Tell us about your recruitment strategies, and how often did you and your coaches meet as a group?
So we had to be really, really intentional about this. We're coming out of the pandemic, similar to every other organization out there. And we had challenges recruiting coaches, recruiting walkers throughout the pandemic. So we had to be very, very intentional. But the cornerstone of it, Kevin, is really our coaches. They are the enablers of everything. They hold the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. So we were really intentional about our recruiting efforts, and went big to get our coaches so we could make sure that they in turn recruited the right number of walkers, drove donations, and so forth. But we're challenged like everybody else again. We're all dealing with return to office, and there's not as many people in the building as before. So we looked to the first big event we had as an organization at our office here, and we're a satellite office, so we're somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000 employees. We're not huge, but we looked at when we had a return to office event, and we had a big party plan for all of our employees. We had a DJ. We had food there. We had a lot going on. And again, Mark and Olivia from the American Heart Association came out. They brought some signage. They brought a lot of energy. And this gave us a great opportunity to have a conversation with as many people as possible. And again, early on in the process, so that we could recruit more and more coaches.
Adam, that sounds great. Tell us a little bit about how you continue to motivate your coaches throughout the Heart Walk process.
A great question, Kevin. It came down to our communication campaign and our strategy around that. We started out with a monthly cadence around with our coaches, and just reminding them where we're at. And then we pivoted to every other week, and we pivoted to weekly about 12 weeks out from the actual Heart Walk event itself. We threw a lot of communication out their way so that they had a meeting in a box, if you will, that they could leverage with each one of their walkers and with their teams. And that contained thermometers and burn down charts to show, here's how many coaches we've got. Here's how many walkers we've got. Here's how many dollars we fundraised. So we'd see how close we're getting to our goal and continue to build energy around that. So that was one half of it. The other half of it, we ran webinars on a monthly basis, and then down to a weekly basis with our coaches and with our walkers, so that we could remind them, here's how to reach out via social media. Here's how to leverage the American Heart Association app, the Heart Walk app itself, to drive fundraising out through social media.
And I couldn't agree more with you about the face-to-face recruitment. You talked about, at your celebration where you were having people come in and not just sending out an email to folks. People don't really respond to that as well. And so what are they going to do to make sure that you're asking intentionally, asking face-to-face, asking personally? And so I love that you did that. I'm going to switch gears though too, just to the interest of time, because you also had a business partner campaign, and I want to make sure that we highlight that, where you invited your vendors to support your efforts, and that raised nearly $70,000. So Adam, share a little bit more about that business partner campaign and how they responded to supporting the Heart Walk.
So the business partner campaign was a very interesting element. It's a part that I personally love about what we do here. It gives us a chance to meet with our partners and share the message of the American Heart Association with them. And we invited them to join us at 2 different golf events. We did one traditional golf tournament, and then we did a second event at Top Golf, where it's, I think a lot are familiar with that. It's a virtual golf environment, but both are great ways where they're able to socialize with our leadership and our executives here.
Yeah, and Adam, they are your vendors. They want that access to those leaders within ADP, and so they're anxious to be able to support it. And it also is a great way of supporting a cause that oftentimes they care about too. So love that. So who made the asks with that $70,000 vendor campaign? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, great question, Kevin. The asks ended up being distributed based on who had the best relationship with each one of those vendors. We had different people running both events, but we ultimately relied on the individuals that had the relationships and relied the most on those vendors to ask that. And then again, when we looked at the volume of vendors that we reached out to and the partners, roughly 30% of them responded, which we felt was a fairly good, fairly representative number to come back with. And ultimately, we felt pretty good about our fundraising efforts through there, and it was successful for our partners and vendors, for us, and ultimately the American Heart Association.
Yeah, 30% is a great response. So congratulations. You truly were making that right person make the ask, and the results show it. Thank you so much. Your ideas were amazing, and you really showed the big impact that you can have when you, as doing all the things that you talked about, start early, make a plan, don't rely on email to recruit, and the vendor campaign is always a great addition. So thank you for being with us here today. Thank you also for your passion for our life-saving mission. We appreciate all that you and ADP do to help us save lives and change lives. Thank you so much, my friend. Well, Adam was a great start to our time together. But before we hear from our next guest, I encourage you to take a moment to share in the chat what inspires you to lead this important campaign at your company. Now, we're heading to Chicago to hear from a dynamic duo who are leading the efforts for the University of Chicago Medicine. Joining us is Colleen Levune, Executive Director, Heart and Vascular, and Kristen Acho, Assistant Director, Heart and Vascular Service. The University of Chicago Medicine recently finished up a record-breaking campaign in support of the AHA, and they are one of the top fundraising health systems across the nation. They've raised over $232,000 this year. Amazing. Now, I'm so proud to get to join you both today because I used to live in Chicago, and U Chicago Medicine has always been a leader in the Heart Walk. And to hear that you set a record this year is truly outstanding. So excellent work. Colleen, Kristen, welcome. Okay, I have lots of questions for you. But first, you had an amazing year, and your fundraising increased by over $119,000. You recruited 43 more coaches and 372 more walkers. So tell us, what was the key to your growth?
Sure. So thanks for having us, Kevin. Really the key to the growth for us this year was starting early, setting a timeline, really looking forward up to the date of the walk. We were fortunate to have the president of our hospital, Tom Jackowitz, who was a chair for the Heart Walk this year, co-chair, Jason Keeler, our chief operating officer, myself and Kristen meet very early on, really lay out the roadmap for how we wanted this year to look. We wanted to really capitalize on this year being the first true year back post-COVID, and how could we really take that momentum and make it our biggest year so far. We set some goals that we were a little nervous about, but we were very optimistic that we could reach those goals. So we laid out our roadmap. We developed a steering committee of, there was about 15 people on our steering committee, 8 that were really our core members. And that branched not just through Heart and Vascular and not just on our main campus, but at Ingalls Hospital as well. And so we wanted to make sure that we were reaching all aspects of our medical center.
And I'm so glad that you can share all of those with us. Kristen, I'm going to go to you now. You did also, I understand that you kind of took the lead with the business partner campaign. And so you raised over $66,000. Talk with us a little bit about how you did that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kevin. You know, our system president, Tom Jackowitz, was really key to this campaign, I'll say. He held a luncheon with our vendors to showcase what the University of Chicago truly does to impact cardiovascular disease. And not only that, but how important the AHA is in those efforts. And for our vendors, it was really an opportunity for us to really showcase how they can also support us in those efforts and how that can just lead to really amazing things that we're able to do inside the walls of our hospitals.
Yeah, I love that too. And oftentimes, we the vendors do want to be participating with that. They do want to support something that's important to you all as well. And all they need to be is asked. And so I love the fact that Tom and you all made that ask, and just incredible to helping drive such an important initiative. Kristen, I've got another question for you as well. You had 9 members become executives with heart that donated or fundraised over $5,000 each. So that's great. What tips do you have for others looking to engage their executives in setting the bar high for them?
I really will say that senior leadership really drives this. So I have to really give it to Jason Keeler, who's our Chief Operating Officer. Since he's been with the University of Chicago, he has been so engaged with the American Heart Association and also the Heart Walk, and he really helps to drive this year over year. And I think he was just so excited to be able to come back after COVID this year to be together for the walk. And he really instilled that in our senior executives. And what we saw was after he presented at his internal meetings regarding the Heart Walk as we were getting close to September, it made our senior executives excited to carve out time for the Heart Walk this year. And then they decided to really take the lead in donating and raising funds, because not only what Jason was articulating to them, but they also have seen the benefits from the American Heart Association here at the University of Chicago, and they understand the impact.
Colleen, I'm gonna come back to you now, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the incredible growth that you all had in your both coach and walker recruitment. Tell us how you did that.
So we tried to recruit as many coaches as we can. Ideally, we wanted 1 coach for every 50 employees. And so that was what we did. We made it a competition, who could get more walkers, and it worked. I will say, healthcare workers in general, we really love free t-shirts. So we're fortunate that the American Heart Association for coaches, if you're a coach, you get that coaching t-shirt, and nobody wants to be left out. So the minute we start telling people, if you sign up to be a coach by this date, you're going to get your free t-shirt, they know they're going to get their coaching t-shirt, and then they're going to get their Heart Walk t-shirt. So it's 2 t-shirts that they could wear to work.
Perfect. That's great. And then, the coach jerseys are amazing. And I know that they're a great motivator as well. And they look incredible this year as well. So many great tips and advice that you shared. Yeah, I love everything that you shared here. Colleen, one final question for you. You all put in so much time and effort into making the Heart Walk campaign successful. And we've heard how you truly are a fully engaged hospital in all that the American Heart Association does. But what inspires you personally to lead this effort?
Yeah. Well, Kevin, I've been a nurse, and I'm a nurse practitioner for 15 plus years. I have participated in the Heart Walk from my very first year as a nurse. I've been involved in cardiac my entire nursing career. I've never done anything else. So what drives me, honestly, is the patients that we are fortunate enough to help every single day, whether it's, somebody that's having a new diagnosis of a heart attack or heart failure, all the way up through heart transplants. I think we are so fortunate that the American Heart Association partners with us.
Colleen and Kristen, we could talk all day with you all. And thank you so much. You've inspired us all, and we are so grateful for the work that you do. These results don't happen by accident. And I know the executive leadership at your hospital are also incredibly proud of the work that you all do. So thank you all so much.
Yeah, we're really honored to be a part of it. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Well, today is all about helping you think ahead and see your path to success as you hear these best practice strategies. One of the things that we always hear from our company leaders after an event is, I wish I had more time. So whether your event is in July or December, our goal is to help you get a step ahead. And you heard Adam talk about that critical playbook. Well, guess what? We have a playbook for you this year. The new HeartWalk Company Planner will help you build and execute your plan for success. This resource, which will be provided to you by your local AHA staff partner, will help you pull together this year's plan. And once your goal is set, you'll have the resources, the tools, the strategies for success that you've heard from our friends at ADP and the University of Chicago Medicine. Also, you heard Adam, Colleen, Kristen, they all talked about a variety of ways that boost their campaign revenue. Well, we call these campaign boosters, right? So let's take a look at these campaign boosters. Number one, have a business partner campaign. We know that vendors oftentimes want to support a cause that's important to your company. Well, this is an opportunity to invite your business partners to support your campaign with a gift of support. You heard about both ADP and UCM were successful by simply making the ask, right? All right, the second one, executives with heart. I love this strategy. Here, you're inviting your company's executives to jumpstart your campaign and lead by example alongside your employees by raising over $5,000 individually. And we would be honored to have your executives join that team. Number three, top walkers. Our top walkers are those who raise $1,000 or more individually. Having a good recognition plan in place at your companies for these individuals, rock stars, maybe something as simple as a top walker lunch or a PTO reward. Everyone loves a day off, right? Really motivates these fundraisers. Number four, life is why consumer campaigns. Is your company a retail business? Some of our biggest HeartWalk supporters include AT&T, Advanced Auto Parts, and Kirkland's, where they extend their HeartWalk support by inviting their customers to make a donation at the register or through an online transaction. So many of their customers donate because they too have a tie to heart disease and stroke. And the last one, matching gifts. One easy way to jumpstart your fundraising is to offer a company match for donations that are raised within your company. This can be a formal program that's already at your company or a single corporate match gift to kick off the campaign efforts of your walkers by the company. But the most effective way to build your company revenue is to recruit coaches. So we're excited to announce that Coach Jersey is back, and so is the Coach Rewards Center, where your coaches can earn new exclusive coach gear like premium apparel when their team hits fundraising milestones, including $1,000, $2,500, or $5,000. We want to thank our coaches for their leadership and recognize their efforts. So let's take a look at some of the newest gear available to your coaches this fall. What a great reminder for us all. Let's make sure that we live, laugh, and love like Luke. Thank you to the Thielen family. We're going to take a moment to hear from two very special guests that remind us what really matters. Joining us all the way from Hawaii is Julia Okanaka and her son, Jace. Thank you both for being with us today. Yeah, I think a lot of people on this call will be surprised to learn that at just 8 years old, Jace had heart surgery. Now, Julia, we're going to hear from Jace in a moment, but I'm going to ask you the first question. And could you share a little bit more about what your family has experienced with Jace's heart surgery? And welcome.
Thank you for having us. So when Jace was 7 years old, he had a severe stomach flu. So I took him to the doctor because he hadn't been eating or drinking for several days. And when the doctor was taking his vitals, he turned to me and asked me, "What have I told you in the past about Jace's heart murmur?" And it was shocking to me because he had never mentioned it in the past. Fast forward a few months later, we went to a pediatric cardiologist. And right away, they realized that not only did he have a hole in his heart, but the wall between his upper two chambers was missing. It was shocking as a mother to hear that. You're not expecting that type of news. And it was difficult. It was from the time he got diagnosed to the time he had heart surgery was 6 months. And Jace was the brave one. He was so courageous and stayed optimistic and always saw the bright side that he was lucky that it was detected and that he was looking forward to it being fixed. In fact, on the day of his heart surgery, I had to wake him up really early and I thought it would be difficult to do so, but his eyes popped open. He leaped from bed. He landed on 2 feet on his mattress and said, "Let's do this. Let's fix my heart."
Well, I'll tell you, I just got to know Jace a little bit, but I'm not surprised to hear that. And Julia, as a parent myself, I can't imagine how hard that must have been for your family, especially the waiting period for 6 months to have to wait for that surgery. It's incredible that he kept you strong, but not surprising. So, Jace, I want to turn to you now. And I know that we have something in common, even though I live in Kansas City, you're in Hawaii, but we are both big Chiefs fans, I hear. And it sounds like that you, from what I'm understanding, that it's no surprise that you're a Chiefs fan because you truly have the heart of a champion, just like our Kansas City Chiefs. So tell me, Jace, what were you thinking throughout this experience in the day of your surgery?
Yeah, I'm the biggest Chiefs fan on earth. They won the Super Bowl 1 month after my heart surgery. It was the best.
Well, that's great.
Um,
That's great.
yeah, when I was diagnosed with my heart murmur, I was a little confused. I didn't know what was completely going on. Yeah. So like right before my surgery, I never thought about the bad negative parts. The only things I thought about were the positive good parts. Like how much better I'd become at sports and how much talent I would get. Um, Going into surgery, it felt really quick to me. In reality, it was around 5 hours. When I woke up, I felt really groggy and tired.
Yeah.
My family, doctors, and nurses were all around me with tubes and machines everywhere. I think my favorite part is when my doctor said, "Congratulations, Jace. Your heart went from a 6 cylinder to an 8 cylinder engine."
Oh my gosh. Jace, you are a pretty amazing guy. Jace talked about the doctors and nurses and the team there. I know that you're incredibly thankful to those doctors and nurses as well, who so quickly determined what Jace was experiencing. What did the new technology available in care mean to your family, Julia?
Oh, it meant everything. The hardworking medical team, the tools, the technology that was available all helped detect Jace's heart defects sooner and give him the right care, which ultimately saved his life. All the fundraising that goes through organizations like the American Heart Association really helps further the advancements in the research, and ultimately that impacts lives and families like ours.
Well, that's great. And Jace, I understand that you're a huge, your mom talked about that, a youth ambassador, both not only in Hawaii, but across the country for the AHA. And I also know that you had the chance to go down the survivor lane and were kind of a celebrity there. So tell us, how do you feel having an opportunity to support the Heart Association in that way?
I feel super lucky and proud that I'm a youth ambassador for the American Heart Association. I had a great time at the Heart Walk. I walked with my Auntie Renee, and her school with her fellow teachers. My favorite part was 100% when I walked down Survivor Lane. I think a lot of people were surprised on when I walked down the Survivor Lane because how young and healthy I looked.
Hey, Jace, let me tell you again, you have truly inspired us all. And I want to say thank you from one Kansas City Chiefs fan to another. I want to say thank you. Julia and Jace, wow, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We have loved having you be a part of this today and joining us here. And Jace, I hope you never stop following your heart, and go Chiefs. Well, folks, we are in the home stretch now, and before you know it, Walk will be here. So I have some final coach recruitment tips for you. Here are 5 coach recruitment tips for success. 1, shoot for having 1 coach for every 50 employees. The best way to approach this is to think about it by department to break down where they could come from. Number 2, many hands make light work. So recruit a steering committee. You heard Colleen and Kristen at UCM talk about the steering committee. By having this team help them, they were able to reach all departments and employees. Number 3, recruit your coaches in person. In the past, I make a list of the fun people who get things done, and I ask them individually, face to face. It's much harder to say no that way. You heard Adam at ADP talk about their welcome back office party and how they used this to greet everyone and find their coaches. It's a great idea. Number 4, a coach is such an important role. Well, involve your executive leaderships in teams and in inviting them by helping to recognize the efforts of our coaches. And last but not least, make it fun. Keep them connected through fun weekly coach contacts, recognizing their efforts and making sure that they are recruited 12 weeks prior to the event so that they get their coach jersey and have the opportunity to wear it with pride. You know, the AHA mission is more relevant now than ever, and our work is so critical. And your support of the Heart Walk goes a long way in helping families like Julia and Jace that have been touched by heart disease and stroke. Jace is counting on us. He's counting on you. And on his behalf, I want to say thank you for helping Jace and everyone everywhere live longer, healthier lives. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting the Heart Walk. And thank you for sharing your enthusiasm so that others can be supported and inspired by your success. Together, we are the heart that keeps the AHA beating. Thanks so much.